All right, we are back. I enjoyed the first stream slash episode. I'm just gonna call them stream episodes because that's really kind of what they are. I enjoyed it enough. I figured let's come back and do another one. So this is gonna be kind of the second part here on Goldcrest Valley. If you did miss the first one, I would encourage you to go back and take a look at it. Basically, what we have is we're playing FS 17's base game map, Goldcrest Valley, which looks something like this, but we're playing it on FS19. So it's kind of a fun one, I think. So I guess we'll see what you guys think. Where we left off, though, we have planted our field 12 with soybeans. Yep, soybeans. We were in the middle of planting field 14 here with oats, so we need to go restart that guy because I had to get out of the game, so it probably messed him up. Go. Give me one. I'm going to hire him here. And then give me 1 second. Just going to tone this down just a touch. Last time that game audio was awfully loud, so hopefully this is a bit better. Hire, go. You not working? Okay, he's done apparently. Okay, we're on the wrong tool. That's why that's not going down. Gotta love the quality of hired help around here. Very, very good. All right. Get him turned around, lined back up, and going back up the field. It shouldn't take him long to finish up this field. We need to get this thing. We leased this thing last time, and we had to lease it because we don't have enough money to buy it. But we leased this thing so we could clear the bales off the field. So that's kind of the, that's what we need to get going here at first. And I'm going to show you guys. So, one of these things, even if you play from in-cab, which I love to play from in-cab, we're not going to do it right now, but I love to play in-cab. One of the biggest limitations, or even if you're out of cab really, is trying to get like where this tool is figured out. It's easy for bales, but it's a little complicated for something like pallets. This tool display you can see in the bottom here, as I circle it with my mouse cursor, it really helps. It tells you the angle of the tool that you have on. So right now I'm at 0 degrees, and it's about 0.2 meters off the ground. So if I lower that down, it's not exact, so this hits the ground at about 0.7 meters, but that helps me know much better where the tool is. So I can set this to about 0.5 meter off the ground, and that should go right into the bale. And because it's at 0 degrees, it's basically going to go straight into the bale. Then I can pick it up. If I wanted to go unload this bale, if I was stacking bales, something like that, I can very easily get this tool back to 0 degrees. And that means that the bale is going to be pretty much flat relative to the ground or whatever I'm stacking it on. So it's honestly, that thing is such a simple mod, but one of the best additions in my opinion. Oh no, what, we can't sell bales here? Why can't we sell bales here? This was always the bale sell point in 17, so I assumed it was the bale sell point now, but is it not? There we go, wrong end, okay. That kind of scared me. I was trying to think, what am I going to do now? I don't have a way to move these bales across the map. All I have is this this front loader to pick them up with. So we'll try doing these 2 at a time. Try to get a view where we can actually kind of see what's going on here. But again, that tool, it's called display for tool position, I think, maybe, or something like that. I don't know, I forget exactly, but great mod if you like to do a lot of front loading work, which I do. I love playing pretty much on all the games I play with animals, which, cows and stuff like that. So you're always dealing with bales of hay and straw, things like that. Sometimes even silage. So I'm constantly dealing with these, stacking them, and that mod makes such a difference. It makes your life so much easier, especially from the in-cab first-person view. Really, really good. All right, hold on. Why are these things not selling? And I don't have the power to pull them back, so we're gonna have to go stab them again. That first bale sold. It was like right on the edge here, so is it actually outside? What in the world? Alright guys, I'm gonna do something that you may not like. Where is the sell point for this? Okay, there, it is sold. That's just, so maybe it's more in the middle of the barn. I don't know. That's very weird. It has, you know, you have those markers on the ground. It should, I would think, be anywhere within those markers. Maybe the height of the sell point is off or something. I really have no idea. The fact that it's not selling them when I set them down in there is very odd. The fact that it's not selling them when I drive into it, I find a bit odd, given that they're just on a front loader. But the fact that it's not selling them even when I take them off the bale spike is really weird. So I don't know. There might be something wrong with that sell point. But whatever. We don't have that many to sell, so we'll just get it done. Oh no. We're gonna have a crash. You wouldn't think I loaded bales all that often. I really do, though. But my problem is I loaded the first one very poorly. I stabbed it way too high. Alright, let's do this. Get off of it. There we go. Let's try this again. So I've found with this tool, the display for the tools, makes it really easy if you stab bales at about half a meter up. That seems to work out really well. And if you are better at it than I am, it also tends to work out better. Alright, so let's try the middle of the barn this time. There we go. Ah, I can't see. Okay, now that one's not coming off. Why aren't we coming off? Plenty low enough. There we go. Alright. So we're going to make a decent little bit of money. Goodness gracious, this thing. I don't know about this thing. We're going to make a good little bit of money off of the bales on this field. We did not sell, if you kind of missed the first episode, we did not sell the harvest from this field. We went and put it in our silos with the rest of the grain that we already have in our silos because we started on easy mode. Again, I don't want to recap the whole first episode because you can always just go back and watch it. But so we have all the grain still to sell. We'll see what happens. I would like to wait for a great demand for that, but we'll just see. I mean, we may come up and need the money, so we may just have to end up selling some of that grain. We'll see what happens. The other thing I want to get into is contracting, because Farming Simulator 17 was, I think, the first time that you really had the contracting system in the game. If you go all the way back to Farming Simulator 2013, you had jobs that you could do, but in 2013 it was basically, I think it was transport jobs and mowing. So, like, in Westbridge Hills, for instance, you mow the baseball field and the golf course, and you got money for completing that job. In 17, I think I'm correct in saying, I could be wrong though, because like I said, I didn't play very much at 15. I believe in 17 it was the first time we really had field contracting, where you could get paid money to work in other people's fields. So, but it was, that was kind of the first time. It was in its infancy, and there were some, I don't think it worked quite as Giants really wanted it to. I think it was kind of implemented not necessarily last minute, but I don't think they had the time they wanted to develop it. And in 19, you know, you saw what I think what the contracting system really was intended to be, which was, you know, part of the game. You had other fields on other farms, and they were just asking for help or something like that. You know, if you're adding a little bit of role play into it. But 17, the contracting system was almost like a side game, if you will, because the game basically stopped while you were doing contracts. It paused. There was no field growth. Nothing was happening while you were doing the contracts. So that was always a little weird to me. In 19, the contracts worked much more, I guess, intelligently, for lack of a better way to put it, where the game is still happening around you, and these contracts in these fields just seem to fit into the overall game much better, in my opinion. So we'll probably do some of that to help make money, because it is there. I don't really have a goal for this series, honestly. I just want to kind of review what 19 is like on a map from 17. And get an idea of what it was like before we jump into Farming Simulator 22 and see what that is like. So that's really the only goal. We don't really have a monetary goal. We're just going to make what we can and try to have a little fun, hopefully explore several different aspects of the game so we can kind of get an idea. I would definitely like to get into some of the animals here on 19, so that as we go into 22, we can see if there are any significant animal changes. Kind of hope there are. Like I said in the last one, I really... Oh, man, come on. That cultivator looks like it should be able to do that. But, okay. We'll go with this. I said in the last stream episode that I really enjoy the way that the Seasons mod does animals, because it adds variety into the way that animals work. You can, you know, in the base game you have pigs, and pigs basically breed. You sell off the new piglets, and that's essentially how you make money. With pigs. With cows, they produce milk. You know, and this is just, that's kind of how the game works. And there's not much variety within the animals themselves. In Seasons there is. You can raise beef cattle or dairy cattle. You have a couple different options for breeds in each of those. With pigs, you can do piglets and raise them up to kind of where then you sell them to a finishing facility, and they would take them on to their finishing weight. Or you can kind of simulate the whole thing. You can breed pigs, or simulate kind of the breeding of pigs. So there was a lot of variety in the way the animals worked in the Seasons mod, and I would love to see that implemented into the game. But I don't know if it is, so we're going to play base game 19 animals. Hopefully we'll get to some of those and see what they're like, so we can then compare that to 22. See if there are any changes. I don't expect there to be very many changes, but we'll find out. Don't really want to start this guy yet, because they're just going to get in each other's way. So we've already done soybeans and oats. What should we do next? Oats have straw, so something without straw in it would be fantastic. Wheat, barley, oats all have straw, so that pretty much leaves canola. Alright, well, I guess we're doing canola. Canola's not one of my favorite crops to do, just because nothing wrong with it. It's just been in Farming Simulator for so long. I feel it's kind of tired. I just don't like doing it, but I do wheat and barley, I guess. The other part of it might be canola is not a crop that I'm overly familiar with, because no one grows it around where I live. So all right, let's see, what do we need to do? I want to take down these trees, and in order to do that I need a chainsaw. It doesn't really matter what version of chainsaw I buy, they're all the same. So we're gonna start taking down these trees. We should be able to make good money from these trees. I'm trying to decide, you know, what I want to do with the trees. Of course, we could take the trees, chop them up into smaller bits, and then sell them. But I think, although it doesn't actually make real monetary sense to do it, I think I want to chop them up. I think I want to do wood chips. Just for fun, basically. I mean, I don't really have a great reason to do it. But I think I'm going to do wood chips just more for fun than anything else. Let's see. This should take... Does it put the wood chips out the back? This is a wood chipper. Yeah. This one you have to pull behind a tractor. Alright. Well, we'll see. Let's go cut them down first. We're going to end up needing a log fork for our front loader. This is good because we'll get to use our front loader again. But anyway, let's start taking stuff down. So, let's see. How do we... There we go. I'm trying to remember which way you cut them down. I think it's this way. If I want it to fall to the left, I need to face this way. It could be completely wrong, but we're going to go for it. Yes! Ah, got it. Alright, let's do that. Trim this up. One thing I do like about this, and it was the same way in 17, is these trees that it kind of starts you out with on your farm that are more or less in the way, honestly. I think they're just in the way. They're the good type of tree to be cutting down. They're, I don't know, some kind of pine tree, I would assume. They're very easy to trim up. This is really high. Why can't I get any lower than that? Well, you can just kind of run up the trunk to trim the thing, and very, very easy. I remember in 15, it must have been, playing. I think I downloaded. Let's see, what was it? Westbridge Hills 415, I think. This must have been how it worked. I can't think of any other way it would have worked. But and did some initial forestry work there too, mainly cleaning up trees around my fields that I wanted to get rid of so I had more field space. But they were, you know, oak trees or something. I don't know. What are the different types of tree? Can you even do trees in this? You can't even place trees in this, can you? Shows you how much I do forestry. I have no idea even what I'm doing. Okay, I guess you can't place trees down in this one. Maybe you have to do it through the landscape. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Irrelevant. I was just trying to figure out what type of tree it was. Anyway, it was like oak trees or something like that, where they had all these branches, you know, going out to the side, and trimming them up was, you know, you would get actual branches off of them. So you had to pick up all these tiny little branches, plus the trunk, you know, cut up the trunk and all that. And it was a royal pain. I remember I don't remember having wood chipping as an option at that point. Otherwise, I probably would have done it because of all those little branches. They were such a pain to deal with. But these trees are fantastic. Yep. Generally, you can just walk up the trunk and get the trimming done. Right now, it's being a little finicky on me. It's okay. Crouching seems to have helped. Are also going to have to get a stump grinder. I am sure we cut this, so it just needs to be pushed over probably. I'm going to go ahead and cut all these down, and then we're going to take them over and load them up into, we'll go ahead and rent the wood chipper. And I know early in this kind of stream setup, I said we won't use the store delivery mod for anything but fertilizer and seed. But I think I'm going to go back on that a little bit. After driving to the store here on Goldcrest Valley and remembering that drive and how many times I made it and how annoying it gets, we're probably going to use the store deliveries mod quite a bit, solely to save us from having to drive back and forth to the store like 100 times. It wastes, honestly, it just wastes a lot of time. And I would love to see progress made in this short little mini series, as opposed to wasting time driving back and forth from the store. We do want to get an idea of what the game was like, and in 17, with where you started and not having any control over where you started, that was one of the biggest annoyances I very clearly remember. Constantly having to drive to the store, and it being so far away on the Goldcrest Valley map. So we're going to kind of skip that part, because it'll just get boring. Alright, so get him going with canola. So this will be all 3 of our fields planted here in a little bit once he gets done and growing. And at that point, you know, once we get this forestry done, I think it'll be a good opportunity for us to get into some contracting. I remember when 17 first came out. Where was I? Oh, I wasn't in a vehicle. That's why I'm confused. When 17 first came out, the contracting system, it had a time bonus. So this was back, you know, in 17 you had to go to the field to get the contract, and it gave you a certain amount of time to complete the job. And any time that was left on the timer, you got a time bonus for, essentially. You know, it was like a good job for doing the job quickly, which was pretty cool. But when the game first came out, the time bonuses were ridiculously high. I mean, you would get a contracting job for, you know, like probably not even $15,000, like $10,000, $5,000, and the time bonus was more than the total from the job itself. It was pretty funny. I remember it didn't take Giants all that long to release a patch that nerfed, I guess, the time bonus on the contracts, and then it went down to what probably was really more reasonable, but at the time it felt super low. Then it made it feel like contracting wasn't even worth it because you made so little money doing it. It was kind of funny, but it was a new gameplay mechanic, and, you know, growing pains, if you will. Giants was trying to figure out how to utilize it in the game and to balance it out with the rest of the gameplay. I won on 17 one time. I started a game, not on YouTube or anything like that, just on my own. But I started the game doing entirely contracting. So I owned these fields still, and I'm pretty sure I worked them like you normally would. But I basically just went around and did contracts. As many contracts as I could. And of course, in 17, there was no time elapsed while you were doing contracts. So if it's 10:03 right now, if I went and did a contract, it took me 20 minutes to do the contract, I would come back and it would still be 10:03. There's no time elapsing. So you could just do contracts all day long. So what I did was I went through and did every single contract until it wouldn't let me do any more. And I mean, that was like multiple contracts on the same field. Sometimes you would fertilize it, then you would cultivate it, then you would plant it, and so you would eventually get done with that field to where the crop was growing and you basically had to then on every field crop was growing, so you had to kind of wait for stuff to happen. But by doing that, I can't remember how much money you started with in Farming Simulator 17. It wasn't that much. After doing that, in like the first day or day and a half, when I'd gotten all those contracts completely done, where no more were showing up, I had over $1 million. It was crazy. It was like, if you want to start off, granted, it took a significant amount of time. I mean, it probably actually took me, I don't even know, 4 or 5 days in real time, you know, because obviously I'm not playing this game all day long, to actually accomplish that. But by the time I had, you know, basically one game day had elapsed, and I had $1 million+ all from contracting. It was pretty funny. Just trying to get these trimmed up. Is there another come on. Not wanting. Whoa, don't do that. Not wanting to let me. There it is. A little trigger. There we go. That was a big tree. Fell farther than I expected. And I keep trying to run, forgetting that you can't run with a chainsaw bit. Which is probably a good thing. That would be very, very unsafe. Alright, we're not going to worry about these trees. That's all of those trees cut down. We probably will want to do those ones as well. But I feel like I just want to go ahead and get the wood chipper and get to work. So what we're going to do, let's see, is either of our tractors done here? No, of course not. Alright, so we're going to have to use the Fiat, the little Fiat, which has, what does the Fiat have? 150 horsepower. So I guess it's not tiny, but it's certainly not a huge tractor. Alright. Let's head around here. We're going to use the stored deliveries mod. Again, I already explained that. If you really have a problem with that, I suppose you can leave a comment and let me know, and try to convince me not to use it. But I'll forewarn you. I think you're going to have a hard time convincing me. Because this thing goes 15 miles per hour. I do not feel like driving all the way to the store at 15 miles per hour. Alright, we're going to set up. So the cool thing with the stored deliveries mod is through a key combination, you can basically set where you want the point to be where things appear when you buy them. So we're going to do that. We're going to go into forestry equipment and get, let's see, what do we have? That is for, what does this even go on? It's for cutting stuff down, but I don't know what it goes on. This, ooh, that can transport logs. Maybe I should use that. No, because I still have to lift them. We are going to need the stump grinder eventually. Yeah, we still have to lift them, so we're going to have to get the log forks for this front loader anyway. I don't care about the wheel brand. We're going to get this guy, lease it for $3 grand. And look, there it is. No 15-minute drive to the store. And I believe we'll hook up to this so that we can get it set up. Let's see. Let's go ahead and unfold it. Okay, that folds out. What is... Okay, so that's pipe out. There we go. And then I believe you can... Yeah, you can edit where that is. Very cool. And if I remember correctly, which I very well could not be remembering correctly, very, very possible. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I think I want this way. I think I do. We're going to bring in... We're going to bring in the trees. We pretty much want to be able to take them straight onto this. Yeah. And what we're going to do, we're going to pull this out on the road, basically, so we can pull a trailer right up under it. I think you can turn this thing on Wait, do I have to... can you get in this thing on its own? Oh, yes. Okay, so I was correct. This thing will run on its own. So, unhook from this. We're going to leave that there. We're going to go grab the trailer, which the front loader is right in front of. Wonderful. Okay, while we're at it, front loader stuff, we need a log fork. There we go. It's so cheap. We'll buy it. I'm tempted to lease it because I honestly don't know how long we're going to use it. But it's so cheap that it's kind of like, is there really a point in leasing it? Now, you guys might or might not have seen it pop up in the upper right-hand corner where it's showing our financial transactions. When we use the store delivery mod, it does deliver that stuff to us, but it charges us a delivery fee. And I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a percentage of the cost of whatever you bought. So, for instance, the lease of that wood chipper is like $3,200 or something. The cost to basically deliver it to us would show up under somewhere other, or maybe it shows up under vehicles. I don't remember. Either way, it shows up somewhere. It comes out of your money. I saw it was about like $50 when we bought this thing, so it's basically a percentage. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and turn this guy on. Whoop, that is not engine start. Is the engine? Is it going? Can I drive this thing? Yes. Okay, engine started, and it's on. Get our front loader. That is not the front loader. We'll go get the trailer in a minute. Front loader. There we go. All right, we're gonna go get us a tree. Let me see. Open. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. Go pick up a tree. It'll be interesting to see if we can even pick up the tree, because they're very heavy. I probably should. Yeah, let's start with a smaller one. All right, this one should do. Because of farm sim physics, pretty much have to pick it up like this. Zoom out. There we go. So we can actually see what we're doing here. All right, a little more like this. It's pretty much, I think, last time I tried this, this is pretty much how you had to pick stuff up in farm sim, because, like I said, farm sim physics. Oh, we need to change that. Get out of here. There we go. Now we should be able to left click. Yep, without horseplay coming up. The log fork, it's pretty much impossible to get under a log. Oh, you know what we should do? We should activate all-wheel steering. Nope, not crab steering. All-wheel steering. It's pretty much impossible to get under logs. Because the ground in Farming Simulator is essentially, I don't know, it's completely hard. There's no give in it. You know, normally with log forks in real life, you would be able to kind of dig into the ground a little bit and get underneath the log to be able to grab it. You can't do that. It's like trying to do that on concrete, except even the dirt in the fields is essentially concrete in Farming Simulator. Something else I wish that would get changed for Farming Simulator is to have a little bit more realistic ground, but that's not happening for 22 at least. We'll see if that happens at any point. Alright, there we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Alright, that's one. It should... You just gotta kind of feed it in there. It has a conveyor belt that helps feed the log in, but when it's tilted like this, it doesn't tend to work. It's supposed to. It is supposed to. It does not always work that way. Yes, conveyor belt is going. Did it just do something? Did it just do something? Well, alright. Oh, it's going on its own. Going on its own. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Now, while we're at it, because I want to just verify that everything is working. And sure everything works, so let's get him out of the way. While we're at it, we're going to do something very, very unrealistic. Not really too worried about realism in this series, but we're going to make it very unrealistic. And we're going to take down that tree by running into it. It's very, very, very realistic. There we go. This guy is now out of the way so that the other worker can continue on his job. Really just want to get him out of the way. Onto the Fiat. And the trailer. Actually, you know what? I take that back. No, we're not running the Fiat. Because when we go to sell this, we have to take it to here. You gotta go like through here, up here, over, and back. So the Fiat, with its 15 mile per hour top speed, is not going to be the tractor of choice for this. So since one of our cases just finished, we'll go ahead and grab that. This has a 26 mile per hour top speed, much better. So we will use that to do our carting. We're going to quickly take the trailer over to our handy dandy workshop, and we're going to see if we can increase the capacity of this a little bit. I believe right now it's 8,000 liter capacity. We're going to get a lot of wood chips, so I want to just go ahead and increase the capacity here a little bit. Nope. There we go, trailer. The ability to change the thing that you're looking at in the workshop comes from the Workshop Tabber mod. Again, the workshop has been in the game for a couple of iterations now. I feel like that is a feature that should have been added in the base game. So just to leave Workshop Tabber in and use it, because otherwise you have to like make sure you get the tractor completely out of the trigger and all that. It's kind of annoying. Alright, let's get this up under here. Should unload some wood chips into the trailer. Yeah, so from one tree, what did we get? I'm just curious to see what we got. 2,200, almost 2,300 liters of wood chips from just that one tree, and it wasn't even a big tree. That's not bad. We cut down all these trees, we're going to have a lot of wood chips. And we'll go sell them off. The key, or I guess the main reason that we are doing this is not really to make money from wood chips, because let's be honest, you don't make money from wood chips. Like, you do wood chips all day, you're just not going to make very much. But the main reason we're doing it is to get these trees out of the way. Come on, get in there. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I completely missed the balance point on this one. Let's get stuck on, or this isn't working. All right, there we go. The main reason is just to get rid of these trees, to clear out this land for being able to mow grass and turn it into silage, because wrapped silage bales are worth quite a bit of money, and that area we already own is a great spot to start doing some grass silage bales to get into silage fairly cheap from the beginning of the game, which of course then could, I'm not even, what am I doing? I'm not even close. could allow us to get into animals relatively quickly as well if we wanted to. You know, with silage we could get into cows quick. If we have the baler, we can always get into sheep. You don't even need a baler for sheep, you can just use a loading wagon, but we would have bales that we could store for the sheep as well. So it'll allow us to get into some stuff, some animals pretty early on. I suppose we could store the oats. We could even get into horses. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. There we go. All right, let's back up a little bit. Raise it up. Come on, conveyor belt. Come on, conveyor belt. I'm just trying to get it. Let's see, let's turn it back this way, and then back this way. Nope. It's not gonna do it. So I have to say, this has always, I've done pretty much this exact thing that I'm doing. I did in FS17 several times. Pretty much every time I started the game, I did this same basic thing. Get rid of these trees, turn this either into a grass field or plow it up and turn it into an arable field. This wood chipper has done this all the time. It's extremely annoying. It has a conveyor belt, and the mechanism that basically chops up the tree is this massive oh boy. Okay. Alright. Well, hold on here. Hold on. Back up. Back up. The mechanism that makes the whole thing work, if I go to it real quick, is this massive metal wheel. Look at that thing with these massive teeth on it. Okay? That thing is made specifically to chew up trees. And it's sitting in there turning, and with those huge teeth on there, it's going to grab a tree and just like suck it in. Granted, I've never sat and watched anybody cut down like, you know, a 70, 80 foot pine tree and run it through a wood chipper before. I never have. But I've seen the much smaller machines that companies around here use when they come trim up trees, when the power company is doing tree trimming to get it away from the power lines. I've seen the machines that those guys use. When they don't, you don't have to sit there and feed the branch into it. That wheel that is turning and chewing up the tree pulls it in with enough force that once it catches a bit of it, it's done. Like, the whole thing's going in. And so the fact that this doesn't do that, and you have to sit here and fiddle with it the whole time, is just really, I have always found it very annoying. It's a cool machine. I actually enjoy using it. It gives you these wood chips. I think it's cool. Can I, let's see, I'm pretty sure I can hook onto this weight, but I might need to do it from this side. I love the wood chipping machine. I think it's really cool. It's just very annoying that it doesn't work like it should, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these trees are too big and too heavy and it doesn't actually work like that. I thought you could attach a weight to this. Can you not? Can you not? You cannot. Well, that's annoying. Alright, so the big trees we're going to have to cut up to smaller sections. Pretty sure that cut. Is this a big one? No, that was lucky. This is a huge one. This one's got. This one, might as well trim it while we're here. And there should be another very large one over here. Yeah, here we go. Hard to tell where the end is. Buried in grass. We'll go somewhere about here. Hopefully this is small enough that we can actually move them now with the front loader. I'm sure these trees are very heavy. But it's pretty annoying. You can't lift them. And you can't even attach a weight to the back of this thing. I feel like you would be able to attach a weight to the back. Can we lift it up now? Yes. Can we move with it? Kind of. Not very well, but we can move. That's all that matters. Now, try to navigate through the yard with this absolutely ginormous tree trunk without breaking anything. Not even sure if I can lift it high enough to get over the side of the wood chipper. Yes! Yes, I did it. Alright. Now this, we are most definitely going to have to kind of guide in. So let's... There's my... There we go. Yep. Open up. And lower it down a bit. Pretty good. And push it in. Is it going? No. See, this is what, like, again, it doesn't make sense. If this was big enough, if this wood chipper is big enough that it can actually process this size of a log, then that thing should be able to grab onto it and pull that log in. Or we should be able to set up some kind of apparatus that holds the other end of the tree up. I don't know, something. Like, the fact that you have to sit here and do this is annoying and, in my opinion, takes away from the enjoyment of doing forestry. Just take it already. It's not moving at all on its own. If you can get it to stay there long, nope, stop. Get it to stay there long enough. See, it's still too heavy on this end. But if you can get it to kind of stay up, you can go to the end of it and give it a little shove. Right now, it's difficult because I'm having to grab it and then try to rearrange my front loader to kind of shove it in. Let's back up a bit. Go and then forward at an angle. Jam it in there. Whoa, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. It's gonna fall off. It's gonna fall. Lower it down. There we go. You're a little too high there. Oh, God, this is so frustrating. Giants, fix this crap. Seriously. This is Farming Simulator 15 content. Logging. Forestry came out in 15. Why do we still have these problems in 19? This is the kind of stuff that is so frustrating. It has a conveyor belt and a ginormous wheel with teeth on it. I should not have to sit here and force feed the stupid thing into the wood chipper. But anyway, we got it. Only like 15 trees more to go or something like that. So, you know, it's only going to take us all day. Do you guys, do any of you remember Farming Simulator 15? Hold on, give me 1 second. If you do, if you remember Farming Simulator 15, pop a like or a comment in and let me know. When it was, when it first came out, and how forestry didn't work is probably the better way to phrase it. When Farming Simulator 15 first came out, it was this big deal, you know, hyped up the release of this new gameplay mechanic, forestry. You know, it's not just farming crops or animals anymore. Now you can do logging and all this kind of stuff. And in classic Giants style, this was 15, 13. We all, at least as far as I know, pretty much everybody I knew that played the game had been complaining a lot about the bale physics. But at that point, bales were the only thing you were really lifting up. So bale physics were the only physics that anybody was concerned about or really were even in the game. I mean, this is excluding the grossly unrealistic tractor physics that have always been in Farming Simulator, but we'd all been complaining about bale physics. The bales were horrible in 11. They got better in 13 eventually, and they finally got bale physics to a point where bales were like playable in 13. You could actually do stuff with them, move them, stack them halfway decent, and things like that. And then they come out with 15 with logs, which is, you know, I mean, logs are not bales. I realize that, but from the way the game handles it, physics standpoint, they're basically like bales. It's some object in the world that you can pick up and move around. And from the very beginning of 15, they were just utterly broken. You could not even do forestry hardly at the beginning of 15 because the physics of the logs were so terrible. If you guys remember that, pop a comment in or a like or something. Let me know you remember that. They did eventually fix it. I say eventually. They fixed it fairly quickly because it was the newest gameplay mechanic in the game, and they had done all this hype for it, and it didn't work. Shouldn't say. It worked with several asterisks after the word worked. You technically could do it, but it was so bad and frustrating that nobody wanted to. Everybody was complaining about it. So they fixed it in one of the early patches. Giants are, I will say, they're pretty good about it. When there are issues like that, they do tend to fix it. But it brings into question, you know, so I think it was then in 17 or 19, where one of the big talking points or selling points as they're hyping up the game for sale, was that they had improved the physics engine. It is generally better. When I look at the physics of Farming Simulator in FS19, like we're doing right now, although I will still complain about it at times. When I think back to playing Farming Simulator 2011 and the physics, in air quotes, that were in that game, Farming Simulator has come a long way. But given that it is a game, you have these aspects of it like logging or bales where you're interacting with an object that's moving around. The fact that basically the whole game you have an implement interacting with the ground, or a tractor tires interacting with the ground. The physics to me deserves a little bit more attention. I can think all the way back to, so I started playing in Farming Simulator 2011. I probably started actually playing it in 2012. And then of course, Farming Simulator 2013 came out in 2012, late 2012, I believe. Either way, I started playing Farming Simulator 2011, not long before the release of Farming Simulator 2013. Well, at that time, there was another franchise called Agricultural Simulator. They had a 2011 version. They also came out with the 2013 version right around the same time that Giants released Farming Simulator 2013. So you have these two games that are basically doing the same thing. They're both trying to simulate farming. And Agricultural Simulator 2011 had some really good points going for it. It did things that Farming Simulator 2011 did not. I think Farming Simulator has always been a much smoother tractor driving experience. It's always had a much better selection of machinery. But Agricultural Simulator 2011 had much better AI help. You could tell the AI through a menu system to get a certain tractor, a certain implement, a weight if you needed it, and to go to a field and do something on it. $1,600. It's not bad. Which is something you've never been able to do in Farming Simulator. To this day, you still can't do it. Even with course play, you cannot tell a hired worker to go get a certain tractor and implement from your garage, from your barn, or something like that, and they'll do it and take it to a field and start working. It was a very, I think, well thought out helper system, and it, for the most part, worked fairly well. When Agricultural Simulator, so anyway, all that to say, Agricultural Simulator 2011 had things going for it that Farming Simulator 2011 did not, and vice versa. They both kind of had their strengths and weaknesses. When Agricultural Simulator 2013 came out, I honestly thought there was going to be a big competition between Farming Simulator 2013 and Agricultural Simulator 2013. Because, again, Agricultural Simulator focused on certain aspects of farming simulation, if you will, that Farming Simulator and Giants did not. And one of those was ground physics and a few other things. Agricultural Simulator had the ability, 2013 had the ability to manipulate small objects by hand. So you could pick up small square bales by hand. It had a small square baler built into the game. You could pick up seed bags by hand and load them into planter. I mean, it was just, there were a lot of really cool things. It had deformable terrain, you know, so when you went and plowed up a field, it left a furrow. When you drove through a field, your tires left ruts, and they were, you know, you could feel them. The tractor responded to them. Whereas Farming Simulator has always had what I just call flat terrain. I mean, I realize that there are hills and bumps and things built into the Farming Simulator world, but the ground is completely hard. It's like a sheet of metal. It doesn't deform. Your plow does nothing to it. Your tires don't leave ruts in it. It's non-reactive in any way, which is why I call it flat. So, Agricultural Simulator had that going for it, and I thought with these new features, it was just a huge divergence from Farming Simulator. I don't know that one would have necessarily been better than the other, because Farming Simulator still had a lot going for it in terms of playability. It's a much more casual game. It had many more machines in it. It always has had many more machines in it. So, you know, Farming Simulator certainly still had its stuff going for it. And I don't think Agricultural Simulator ever would have gotten rid of Farming Simulator, so to speak, but I really thought they were going to compete with one another. But I guess the terrain system, I don't know what it was about 2013. Because, you know, I'm not a computer programmer. This is well out of my knowledge range. The game was practically unplayable. You had to have an insanely good computer to get even mediocre. No, I wouldn't even say mediocre. Like, playable frame rates. I mean, we're talking like in the upper 20s, lower 30s. You know, just to be able to play the game, you had to have a really good computer. I had a decent computer. It wasn't equipped with the latest and greatest at that time, nor is my computer now. But I would get pretty consistently like low 20s for frame rates, and it was, you could play it, but it wasn't great. And there were so many unpolished parts about it. Display, there was really no good heads-up display to know what was going on with your tractors or implements. The whole, basically, they had some great concepts. They had the ideas were there. The physics engine maybe was there. I'm not sure. It may have been there, but was worked the computer too hard. I'm not sure. But the deformable terrain is really cool, and they had a lot of good stuff going for them. But the game was so unplayable. That game basically killed the Agricultural Simulator franchise. And since then, Giants and Farming Simulator have had basically no competition in the Farming Simulator world. Games like Farmer's Dynasty have come out, but they're often, almost all of them that I've played, because I have played most of them, they end up being so basic, and almost none of them have licensed brands of tractors. So, not that I don't really care that much about it, but apparently people do, because you just can't sell a game very well, a farming simulation game, without licensed brands of tractors. People, apparently that's a feature that people consider a must-have. So those games don't have that. That puts them at an immediate disadvantage, but then they're also quite simple in many other ways. Farming Simulator has evolved over the decade now that they've been making different versions of Farming Simulator. It's evolved. There's a lot of aspects of gameplay in it. It has a lot of good things going for it. I don't want to make it sound like Farming Simulator is like this awful game. It's a really good game. But it had no real competition for 8+ years now in this world. And I'm hoping that we can start to see some stuff. I would love to see Giants really push themselves in terms of what they can do. I know Giants uses their own Giants engine for Farming Simulator. I would love to see them push the Giants engine and get it to do things that other games have done. you know, and maybe Giants being the biggest player in the farming simulator world can make it happen and make it actually work well. Now you have a game like Cattle and Crops, which is, you know, another farming simulation game. It has deformable terrain like Agriculture Simulator 2013 did, but they've done it and made it work. The game is actually playable, but again, it doesn't have the 400 licensed vehicles that Farming Simulator does, so it doesn't get as much play in it. One of the other things Cattle and Crops has that I really like is a much more realistic fertilizer system. In, you know, here in Farming Simulator, it's like spray fertilizer on your field, and no matter what type of fertilizer you spread, whether it's manure, slurry, solid fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, whatever, you just run over the field, you spray it with fertilizer, it gets a fertilization state, and that's all there is to it. Obviously, in real life farming, fertilization's a bit more complicated than that, and that's something you get in Cattle and Crops that I actually really like. You get different components of different elements in the soil that you have to worry about with fertilization. So you've got mainly, see, I think in Cattle and Crops, it looks at nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are the big ones, NPK. And you use different fertilizers to get different levels of those. Different fertilizers have different levels of the different elements. So you might have, you have some fertilizers like 20, I think it's to the game. Obviously, fertilization is a pretty big component in modern agriculture. I don't think could really have a farming simulation game without some kind of fertilizer. We're having a hard time here. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to grab this or not. Not wanting to cooperate. Anyway, I don't think you'd be able to have a modern farming simulation game without having some component of fertilizer in there. It's just too critical to the whole process. Although, so is seasons, and farming simulators got away with not having seasons for a decade, so I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. The fact that you can simulate the different elements of fertilizers at different levels, I think is a big thing. Let's see, it would have been Farming Simulator 19, yeah, 19. They came out with a precision farming DLC, and that had you taking soil samples. I thought this was really cool. I started playing with it. I really enjoyed it. I started using it on pretty much every save game that I played on, because it added, again, another element of kind of realism, of complexity to the farming world, to the farming game. And you had to take soil samples to get your level of nitrogen in the soil, your pH levels in the soil, and as well as soil type, because different soil types took different, had different ideal levels of nitrogen and ideal pHs. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was a step in the right direction, and Giants have done an interview with I can't remember the guy's name now, of course, but he works for John Deere. He's been big in the precision farming world for 20-something years, and he was part of the group that headed up development of the precision farming DLC for 19. They've done an interview with him, and they are going to do a precision farming DLC or a Farming Simulator 22, which I'm very excited about. I think that's really cool. But again, I always come back to this kind of concept: why isn't it in the base game? You know, after a decade of development with Farming Simulator, the first full release version of Farming Simulator was Farming Simulator 2009. So we're going on over a decade of development now. Why has the base gameplay not developed I guess, enough. It has. I don't want to say it hasn't developed because that would be untrue. But how is it not developed? How has the actual simulation of farming, the actual farming aspects, not developed beyond the point where it is now? I mean, it was only a couple games ago, maybe in 17 or 15, where they even added multiple fertilization states. Before that, you only had one fertilization state. So you went over the field with fertilizer, some kind of fertilizer, one time, and you got the full bonus of fertilizer. It's like Farming Simulator from the very beginning has been, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I love Farming Simulator, so don't get me wrong, I love the game. But it is an incredibly simplified farming game. And it's a farming game. I hate that they even call it Farming Simulator, because they simulate farming so poorly in this game. Like, you don't have different soil types. You don't even have different fertilizer types. You have no seasons. All you have is different various forms of agriculture in terms of forestry, animal husbandry, arable crops, things like that. You have different types of agriculture going on in a game that is, let's be honest, mostly developed around driving equipment. That's really what Farming Simulator is all about. It's about the equipment driving. That's why most people play it. It has the best selection of equipment in any Farming Simulator game. Is this trailer full already again? That's not the one with the trailer on it. Yeah, it is. I guess we better wait. I don't want to overfill it and start losing wood chips. This thing will just keep chipping wood chips endlessly, even if it has its own internal capacity of about 5,000 liters, but that can fill up pretty quick. All right, second load. Anyway, I better quit ranting about it, or it's going to turn into just one complaining session. But I really hope that Giants can start incorporating some of those more complex agricultural elements, actually simulate what goes on in farming. So we'll see. We'll see. Gosh, how long are we into the stream? Man, it's already been an hour. Well, I want to try to get these wood chips done, so in the next stream episode we can start working that area. Maybe we can start doing some grass work. We also need to do some contracting. We're down to about $40,000 right now, which is not enough to buy much of anything. We'll probably have to do some contracts to try to get some money coming in. Unfortunately, the series in a stream format doesn't progress super quickly because I can't time lapse while we're doing the streams. So I don't know. We may have to not just do streams. We may have to do some episodes just so we can progress things along a little bit. Just doing some contracting. There are a couple. Let me set my cruise control. And get on a. I'm on the wrong side of the road. I've been playing too many UK-based maps lately. Get on a straight stretch of road here. There are some contracts which I would love to do, which can return some good money, like Field 5 fertilizing. Fertilizing won't take very long, and you can get $21,500. That's some good money. Field 5 is, I think, the biggest field in this map. Get a chance here, I'll show it to you on I can show it to you on the mini-map. Take a look at the mini-map, you can see Field 5 in the upper right-hand corner of the mini-map there. I'm pretty sure, safe in saying this is the biggest field on the map. Field 20 is probably the second biggest, although it's pretty close to Field 31 and Field 1 as well. But I do believe Field 20 is the second biggest. Those two contracts are both fertilizing contracts and won't take that long to do. It's fertilizer. It's sprayers and or fertilizer spreaders. They have wide working widths. Get the job done pretty quick. And we can make, I think it's like close to $30,000 if we do both of those jobs. So definitely want to do some contracting. But I know from playing and recording before that contracting, I don't want to just do contracting because you end up doing the same thing all the time and it gets pretty boring. I want to do some work on our own farm and different types of work. So we'll just have to have a think and figure out how exactly we're going to handle all of that. Another load of which I think, what did we get? $1,200 or $1,500, something last time we sold this. Oh, $1,600. Yeah, that's what it was. It was about $1,600. Should be able to see here. Harvest income, yep, $3,200. So that's a decent amount from just some wood chips. We're making a little bit of money. We're making a little bit of money just cleaning something up that we don't really want to be there anyway, so that's a good deal. The only not good deal about it is it takes forever. So if you guys, if you would, leave some comments in the, leave some comments below, and let me know what you would like to see when Farming Simulator 22 comes out. I've kind of gone back and forth. I mean, I love playing Farming Simulator. It's such a relaxing game. It's such a fun and enjoyable game. I could sit and play it for, you know, hours if I had the time, but I don't. So I have to figure out, you know, what we want to do. And I've thought about, do I just play the game? There's a lot of fun to be had in that. Of course, just playing the game can show off a lot of the aspects of it. But a lot of people like to know kind of the data behind the game. You know, the financial analysis and stuff like that. Which crop is the best? Those kinds of things. How much money can you actually make from animals? That kind of stuff. So I've also thought, you know, maybe instead of just doing a play through like we're doing here, maybe when Farming Simulator 22 comes out, we do some tests and we start doing yield testing and financial testing and just see what kind of money you can make from different things. I tell you, it will be pretty cool. Giants have said that, or at least I believe they've said, I'm pretty sure I heard it in one of the videos, that if you take your harvested products to a production chain facility and, you know, turn it into kind of the next tier of product. So as an example, take some wheat to a mill, turn it into flour, and then go sell the flour, you will get more for the same amount of wheat than you would have if you just sold the wheat directly to a grain elevator as wheat. Which makes sense. Like I've said in the last video, Giants does a great job of balancing this stuff. They make a great game, a game that is fun to sit down and play. And they do a great job of balancing this stuff. So if you're going to have to do extra work, you're going to get more money out of it. That is generally how Farming Simulator works. Whether or not it's actually realistic to the real world, you know, who cares? If you have to do more work in the game, you're going to get more money. That's pretty much how they do it, which is good. It's good for a game to do that. But how much? You know, it's kind of that's the question. You can just take your wheat directly to the elevator and sell it. It doesn't take any time to process before you make your money. You get your money right then. I'm assuming you get your money right then because that's how it's always worked in Farming Simulator. They did change it in Farming Simulator 19 so that when you sell silage at the BGA, you do not get your money right away. You have to wait till midnight. However, the crops, you're pretty much selling straight to the elevator. There's no processing going on. So I believe I'm safe in saying you'll get your money straight away. Whereas if you go the production chain route, there's gonna be time. You pretty much, from what I've seen, you pretty much still just drop your grain off at the production facility, but then it takes time to process that. And on top of that, you have to take whatever finished product you're getting, like in our example, the flour, and you have to deliver that to somewhere else. You can't just sell the flour right there at the mill. The flour doesn't sell, or the mill doesn't sell flour, right? It makes the flour and then sells it somewhere else. So you would have to then transport that flour to another facility to actually sell it. So there's more time involved. You're going to make more money. I feel very safe in saying that. But how much more money? Is it worth the extra time? Could you come out better financially by spending that time doing something else? I mean, that's kind of the questions that people often ask. You know, after you get past the first few hours of playing the game, where you're just, you know, checking out new features and trying to enjoy the gameplay, you start thinking about, okay, what can I do to be efficient? You know, how can I make the most money in the limited amount of time I have to play? So that kind of stuff, I don't know, it could be interesting to see. Is this thing not running? No. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Why is it not running? Turn on. Okay, the engine's already on. It just was not turned. Crusher was not turned on, I guess. Let me back up without losing everything here. I'm gonna pull it all. Alright, if they'll balance, then I can go back here and start shoving them in. So let me know if you guys want to see one certain thing over another. Obviously, there are a lot of other YouTubers out there, many of them who will have the game well before I do, because I actually have to just buy the game. I'm not really a YouTuber, actually, in that sense. But they'll be playing the game through. So if you guys would like to see a little bit more, maybe testing aspects of the game instead of just a playthrough, let me know, because I definitely am a numbers person, so I actually enjoy doing that kind of analysis a little bit. I would be happy to do some of that. And we'll probably do, I mean, at some point, somebody will, if it's not me, somebody will do it, some yield analysis. It's pretty much every version of Farming Simulator that's been out. There's been people doing yield analysis of the different crops to determine which is the most profitable per acre. It's generally the same. I mean, in every game they release a new crop. Of course, you have to see how that new crop compares to the traditional crops or the already existing ones. But generally speaking, it's pretty much the same. I mean, you kind of have your tier 1 crops, which would be run my tree into another tree. That's as far as we can go. Okay, let's hope that clears it this time. You have your tier 1 crops, which would be like wheat, barley, canola, things like that are really simple. They're harvested with just a combine harvester and, you know, a header. So real simple stuff. Those are kind of your tier 1s. Generally they all make close to the same amount of money. Some yield higher than others, but then have lower prices, and etc. You guys know the drill. But there are then kind of tier 2 crops. Corn is kind of like a in between, and I think in the last game sunflowers or maybe oats. Oats might have been kind of in between too, because oats don't yield well, but they have a very high price. But then you also got straw from them. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. All of those kind of I would classify as tier 1 crops. You might make a little more from one versus the other, but not drastically more. And then you have kind of your tier 2 crops, like potatoes, sugar beets, corn silage, those things that make significantly more. Hey, look at that, it's actually feeding in like it's supposed to. This is how it's supposed to work. Oh, well, it was for a while. Those things make significantly more than your base tier 1 crops. You know, last time I looked at an analysis of it, I think it was something like double the amount per acre that you can get from sugar beets, potatoes. Silage I don't think was quite double, it was a little bit less, but so if there's anything, you know, of course that we'll want to test that just to make sure that it's still the same and that's not changing. But I'm assuming at this point that's pretty much going to be the same. We'll have to see how the production chains work out though, and how that changes the finances of it. In general, finances are going to change quite a bit because you're going to have seasons now. I mean, you might still sell wheat for about the same amount, but if you're playing with seasons on, and then, you know, if you've played with the seasons mod, you'll know this, generally progress is significantly slower because now in the base game, and we'll see this, we're at 11 o'clock on day 1. You can regrow a field. We have fast crop growth on, so we replanted those fields. By tomorrow or the day after, they're going to be grown and ready to harvest. So, you know, basically every couple of days in the base game, you can be harvesting and making money from your harvest. In Seasons, the Seasons mod, and I would assume it's going to be similar in the base game of 22 now, with Seasons being added in, you're going to have to wait a whole lot longer. You know, you plant a crop in the spring, it's not going to be ready to harvest until fall. So you're going to have to wait. Why is this stuck on here? You're going to have to wait several months before you're going to get the return from that work. So generally speaking, progress is going to be slower. And I've played with the Seasons mod a lot. That is one thing. People start playing with the Seasons mod and they're like, oh, this is so awesome. This is such a great addition. Like, and it is. But then they get to about midsummer and they start thinking like, okay, this is really slow. It takes a long time to make money with the Seasons mod mainly because there's huge portions of the year where you're not getting money. And you go through multiple days without really being able to sell anything. If you're raising animals, it takes the animals a significant amount of time to grow up to the point where they become productive. If you're doing beef cattle, obviously they have to gain weight. Oh, looks like our trailer's full again. They have to gain weight in order to be worth selling. If you're doing dairy cattle, in Seasons, you buy them as a relatively young dairy cow, but they haven't had their first calf yet, so they're not producing any milk, and you have to wait till they have their first calf before they start producing milk, which in the Seasons mod takes a little less than a year, I think. So, you know, again, it takes time. I'm really curious to see how that works with the base game now in FS22 with Seasons being added in. How is the progression? Because I have to imagine there's no way you're going to be able to do it and not have the progression be quite a bit slower. I mean, you'll be able to skip through days and all that kind of stuff. But I will see. I look forward to doing a little bit of testing. I'll end up doing testing anyway, whether it's on my own. But if you guys want to see some of it, please do let me know. Because we'll do some of it, and you guys can tell me how much you want to see on camera and how much you just want to see the results of the testing and that kind of stuff. But I'd be more than happy to do some of that. It'll be fun. I can't wait. I am so excited for Farming Simulator 22 to come out. The extra year of waiting for it to come out, I think, has just heightened the anticipation. And Giants are doing a really good job, I think, of hyping up this game. They've done, with their Gamescom live streams and some other teasers and some other just info videos, they're doing a really good job of hyping the game, of showing us some of the new features and some of the new things that are coming to the game. It's, I don't know, maybe you guys feel differently, but for me, it's making me very excited to get my hands on this game and be able to play it. I don't even know how many trees we have. This is not quick. We're gonna have to call an end to the stream here. I think I'm gonna sell this and we're gonna have to end it. But we'll pick back up later. Maybe I'll do the rest of the trees, I think, off camera. So when we come back, all the trees will be sold and we can kind of get on to whatever comes next. Whether that is contracting, whether that's cutting our grass or silage, we'll see. But we'll pick that back up when we come back. I will take care of the trees on my own, because this is, how many times can you watch me stick a tree into a wood chipper and drive the trailer to sell it? It's pretty repetitive. Sell that will get us another $1,600. So we've made some good money overall today. We've lost a lot of money because, of course, we bought some new vehicles. We have $40,000, almost $42,000, which isn't bad actually, because we were down to in the $38,000 range, I think, at one point. So we are making some money. We sold $2,700 worth of bales and $4,800 worth of wood chips. So we're starting to make some money right away here in the game, and yeah. If you liked it, please do leave a like or comment. Subscribe if you want to see more. Obviously, anytime a new episode comes out, you can get that notification. Or anytime I start streaming, you can get that notification as well and join us on the stream. I really would love to have some people on the stream and have some interaction as we go. But otherwise, I will see you guys next time, and have a good day.